Hi, welcome to the Leadership Doctor. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Fusilier. I wanted to take a moment to give you guys a prelude to what this programming is about. This is about leadership development. How do we develop our teams further, as well as develop our own leadership styles? I will be sharing with you not only excerpts from my books, but other books from leadership experts as well, such as Stephen Covey, John Maxwell, and so many more. I also am going to introduce to you a new book that I have out. It is a spinoff from what we will be delving into a little bit today and for the next few weeks, Leadership Rex, which is available on Amazon. But this is Leadership Rex, a 90-day journal, and this journal is designed with questions, quotes, as well as simple words to allow you the opportunity to reflect on that from a leadership perspective, to either decide if you are on the right track, if you need to improve, or if there's something new you want to learn. And there's also a few great activities in the back of the book that'll further help you develop your leadership skills. This is also, again, it's called the Leadership Rex 90-day journal. It is also on Amazon as well. So do check that out. It's a great tool for a leadership development activity for yourself as well as your team. Let's get into the next chapter of the Leadership Rex book, and it is called Bully Leadership. Now, I think we have seen a lot of that across industries over the last few years. And bully leadership is very much like that of bullying in the playground, where you have someone who is a lot bigger in size and strength, who tends to target the weaker person or maybe the new person sometimes. And they use that to intimidate or to cause fear or anger in someone. Same rules apply in the workplace, right? And here are a few statistics I want to call out. Bullies who engage in this behavior are males 60% of the time, and they generally victimize both genders. Right. So, however, women bullies target other women about 80% of the time. I found that to be interesting. And that speaks to women in leadership, which is a whole nother series that we will be going through. So back to bullying leadership. And typically when you have someone who is being a bully, it's because there's some kind of insecurity or some kind of fear factor internally that they're battling with. It also is because sometimes this is what they've learned as they've come up the ranks. Because oftentimes you will find in organization, bully leadership is rewarded. Like you get a data boy, or you get some kind of accolades for bullying. And sometimes they dress it up with another word. Oh, they're very assertive, or they're a go-getter, or people respect them. But if you're taking a deeper look, or you're uncovering the layers, you will find that usually it's because people are intimidated and are afraid, and they manage through intimidation or lead through intimidation. And that's very counterproductive, right? I will share a story with you from a movie, one of my favorite movies. It's called The Bug's Life. And there's a scene in there where the ant is getting the food ready for the winter, and he accidentally wasted it in the river or the water. And then when the grasshoppers, when the grasshoppers come down to get their share of the food, the leader in training is saying, oh, it was that person's fault who dropped it in the water. And then the grasshopper says, first rule of leadership, it's always the leader's fault. And that is true in every sense of that, the good, the bad, or the ugly. It's always the leader's fault. So when you have bully leadership happening within your organization, look to the top. That's because that's where it's allowed. That's where it's rewarded, and you have to look to the top. And baby, the top is where it's happening, right? So you have to grapple with that. And some ways that you can deal with or um, correct that behavior is have the conversation with the individual who you feel is being the bully and have examples. Don't just say, oh, I think you're bullying me, but have specific examples. If it's you who it's happening to, you can call that out. If you are observing that behavior, you can call that out as well. If you are the person who is exhibiting bully behavior, sometimes that's just what I call a pulse check. Check your pulse and do that by asking the people who work for you. There's a great tool. It's a 360 feedback tool, and it allows, it's very anonymous, and you get feedback from your manager, from your peers, and you provide feedback. And usually in that 360, as long as it's anonymous, you will get a lot of insight to your leadership styles. So that will be a good way to get it, or ask someone who you trust. And then you decide, oh, that's not what I want people to perceive me as, then you start to put in things to change the behavior. And sometimes that bully leadership is what is taught, and then it's learned because it's a learned behavior, right? I will share a story with you. I witnessed a leader who was new to his role, and he had a tenured leader who was sort of kind of training him, and he was struggling with subordination of his team and having hard conversations with his team members. So her advice to him was sometime, and I quote, sometimes you have to treat people like a dog. Put your neck on them until they submit, unquote. I yeah, I was flabbergasted. And, but as I watched him absorb that information like a sponge, and then he started to exhibit that behavior toward his team because this is what he was taught. And he was like, oh, maybe that does work. And as he looked at her success, he saw, oh, that is the way to do it. So we as people in leadership roles have a responsibility to those who are coming up in leadership to show them how to do better. And I always submit you can get the same results out of people, whether if it's intimidation, you'll get the results absolutely because people are afraid for their jobs, they're afraid for whatever other reason, but it's not that loyalty or that commitment that they will give you in the end versus treating people with respect and honoring what they're providing to you. You will get better results as well as you will get commitment and loyalty from them as well. So that's our bit on bully leadership. In the book, it talks about a real life scenario. And then you have the opportunity to, if you relate to this in some way, you can also write that down in the book and then see how you can do better. Great. All right, so if you have any leadership questions, please drop them in the comments. If you have a scenario that you like to discuss, please do that as well, and I will bring it to the air. And I hope that you enjoyed this chapter. And remember, our goal here is to make leadership great again.